you just sort of have to learn how to push through them. And then from the negatives, you find the positives.
Yeah.
And I think gymnastics helps loads with that as well, because you get the resilience, you get the determination to push through that. And it's gymnastics that has taught you that.
Yeah.
Yes, gymnastics is the cause of whatever sucks so much, but you also get so much from it, and you learn how to push through it because you've been exposed to this.
Yeah.
So long.
You're right, mate. I mean, you learn from a very early age how to lose, because you fail every day. You know, it is impossible to be perfect in gymnastics, which is challenging at times because the aim is perfection, right? So that can be a problem. But it is ultimately impossible. You take the best gymnasts and they're not perfect. So you can never be perfect. So I think, you do learn to be resilient from a very early age. And when you do transition out of the sport, it sets you up for life afterwards, because it puts you at such a huge advantage. Because the things you will have experienced through your career and the setbacks, and the fact that you will have experienced them from a very young age, means that by the time you get to retiring, once you find what you're going to go into next in life, some of those challenges will feel like, oh, I've been here before. I know what this is like. Whereas some people maybe haven't faced those personal obstacles, because there are very different types of challenges, right? Like up until very recently, I had not really experienced much death in my family. You know, that was tough. I didn't know it was going into whereas my partner Connie has from a young age. So she's very experienced in that, of facing those challenges and dealing with that. I'm not, but I'm very experienced with being injured or things not going my way and just still pushing through. So those things have a real advantage, just give me a real experience. And so when you go into the next phase of your life, whatever that might be, and hopefully that's not for a very long time for yourself, you are able to tackle those obstacles that come around, because you're like, I've been here before hundreds of times. This is nothing like some of the stuff I had to do in my gymnastics career. So I do think it puts you at a real advantage being a professional athlete that's then retired and goes into whatever you do next.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Quick question. Have you looked at like the sort of changes that are happening in the sport, like going forward to next code?
Terms of technically, I've been told a little bit about them, mate. Yeah, I've been told about them. It's interesting because they're playing around with them a lot, aren't they? And they seem to be doing that quite a lot at the moment. I sometimes do raise my eyebrows at some of the rule changes that happen. And I think, how many active gymnasts do you have sitting in the meeting room when you decide what the new rules are going to be? Because sometimes there'll be some random obscure skill that's been upgraded. Like, when they've done that, like which direction are they steering gymnastics in? They're obviously now, following on from our conversation that we had before, reducing down to 8 skills. And what I think that's probably going to do is bring everybody a lot closer. And so I think it will again raise difficulty, because everybody's going to try and, how do I get the biggest advantage? Well, I need to do the most difficult gymnastics possible. So you're going to bring the skills down, but the skills are going to get more difficult. So the average of how difficult those skills are will go up. But I also do think it will put more of an emphasis on execution, which is a good thing. In terms of the longevity of the gymnasts, maybe it's a positive. Maybe it's a positive reducing it from 10 to 8. Whether it's going to make it more exciting, because make routines a bit shorter, but more difficult. I think it would definitely push people, the way they've changed the rules in terms of having a bonus for dismounts. That's going to be exciting, right? Because it's boring watching 100 double pikes off P-bar and 100 double doubles off high bar. Like, I want to see some triple backs or a full twisting triple back or a triple double or a back in full out or something new. So I think that's cool, because that's going to push people to do very difficult dismounts, and hopefully there's a big enough difference in terms of body style and type that you get some different ones. You won't just get everybody doing a triple back tucked off high bar, although that might happen, because what happens is by the end of the Olympic cycle, everybody's kind of found the path of least resistance that gets you closest to the best result. So you kind of end up with 8 routines in an Olympic apparatus final that are almost exactly the same. So I'd like to see in the future some kind of push and emphasis on originality in some way. That would be cool to see some different skills. But yeah, I've seen the code. I say I've seen the code. It's been sent to me. I've briefly looked through it and looked at the changes. But I do think that the biggest thing is obviously reducing to 8 skills. But all that I think that's going to do is bring everybody closer, and it's going to make that transition from junior to senior a lot easier. So what I do think you might see is a lot more competitive juniors stepping up to seniors quite quickly.
That's what I was thinking.
And maybe the impact that will have is that it will take the advantage away from the older, more experienced gymnasts. So maybe that, we've seen a trend of gymnasts getting older. Maybe we'll see a trend of them getting younger.